Where'd you come from?
Florida.
It's a long way, man.
Yeah, I used to work at a telemarketing company.
Yeah. What brought you out here to Hawaii?
Well, I was trying to open up a telemarketing company over here.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out, and then it just didn't work out, and then I ended up getting kind of thrown off track and kind of fell off a little bit. Yeah, I'm bouncing around from house to house.
Oh, so you're staying in a house?
I mean, not really. I mean, sometimes I stay on the street, but sometimes I crash on a friend's house or couch. But yeah, mostly just kind of houseless, just kind of couch surfing. All my property got taken because I left a house vacant because I owed the landlord money, and I was trying to avoid her, and so they destroyed all my stuff.
Took all your stuff.
Yeah.
So everything you have is what you've got right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is Global Homeless News. We expose truths you never imagined. When most people think of Honolulu, they envision sunny beaches, graceful hula dancers swaying to gentle ukulele tunes, and palm trees rustling softly in the breeze. It's the perfect postcard image, a paradise dream tourists can't resist. But step away from Waikiki's glossy streets, just a few blocks beyond luxurious resorts, and the perfect illusion shatters. Tense clutter sidewalks. Shopping carts overflow with personal items. People slump on park benches, their faces worn from more than just tropical sunburn. The gentle sound of ocean waves fades, replaced by the quiet suffering of those forced to call these streets home. This is the Honolulu hidden from glossy travel brochures, a paradise shaken by a devastating homelessness crisis. Today on Real Homeless Story, we reveal the shocking realities lurking behind the beauty of the world's favorite vacation spots. Honolulu is grappling with staggering statistics and a heartbreaking human struggle that challenges the city's very identity. In 2024, Hawaii reported 6,389 homeless individuals statewide, with 4,494, or roughly 70%, crowded on Oahu, where Honolulu lies. That's a 12% increase from 2023, according to the annual count by Partners in Care, sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. To put it bluntly, Hawaii suffers one of America's highest homelessness rates, 44.9 people per 10,000 residents, almost 3 times the national average. Just on Oahu, 2,766 people lived unsheltered in 2024, a shocking number that nearly doubled over the past decade. But these numbers are not mere statistics. They are cries for help. Behind each digit is a life turned upside down, dreams crushed, and families tore apart. Consider this horrifying reality. In 2025, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Honolulu hit $2,300 a month. Hawaii's minimum wage stands at just $14 per hour. Working full-time at that rate, a person earns only $2,240 monthly. Barely enough for rent, let alone food, utilities, or transportation. To afford basic housing, they need to work an impossible 120 hours per week. For many, homelessness becomes their only harsh reality. Waikiki is Honolulu's glittering centerpiece. Luxury hotels lining pristine beaches, tourists sipping Mai Tais at sunset. But just beyond the resorts, reality couldn't be more different. Sidewalks filled with tents, people sleeping on bus stop benches, belongings packed hastily in plastic bags. The contrast couldn't be more jarring. One side of the street offers $500 per night luxury suites, while across the street lies a daily battle for survival. It's not a rare sight. It's the shocking new normal for Honolulu. City sweeps, controversial cleanups targeting homeless encampments are routine. Tents are dismantled, possessions seized, and people forced away. But to where? Only 1,500 shelter beds exist for over 4,000 homeless people on Oahu. The shelters overflow, leaving many to relocate from one street corner or park to another, trapped in a hopeless cycle. A local activist puts it bluntly: "We're not solving homelessness. We're just hiding it from the tourists." These sweeps clear streets briefly, but never tackle the real problems. Instead, they build deep mistrust between the homeless and authorities. making it even harder for outreach programs to help people access services. The human cost is staggering. Yet the pressure to preserve Honolulu's perfect tourist image takes priority. Officials proudly showcase clean sidewalks and appealing streets, deliberately ignoring the crumbling reality hidden just out of sight. Each passing day brings fear and anxiety. Will their possessions vanish? Could someone harm their children? Homelessness in Honolulu isn't just about shelter. It exposes a deeper societal breakdown, a safety net ripped wide open, leaving the most vulnerable exposed to harsh realities, physically and emotionally. Look deeper, and you'll see it's not just about a lack of housing. It's the failure of systems designed to protect people from ever becoming homeless. Nearly a third of Hawaii's homeless population identifies as Native Hawaiian, a group making up just 10% of the state's residents. This shocking imbalance is no coincidence. It's rooted in generations of forced displacement, persistent inequality, and lasting trauma from historical injustices still echoing today. Healthcare adds another tragic dimension, but the crisis cuts even deeper than anyone dares to admit. More than 60% of Honolulu's unhoused wrestle every single day with mental illness, addiction, or both, turning an already hard life into a relentless storm of fear, anger, and despair. Services that should save lives crawl at a snail's pace. Detox beds stay full all year long, and psychiatric clinics post waitlists that stretch not for days or even weeks, but for long, crushing months that could drag on into years. Seeking steady help feels like reaching for a mirage on sun-baked asphalt. Every delay can kill. Someone battling heroin withdrawal while sleeping under a highway overpass needs help tonight, not next season. Yet each night the doors slam shut on desperate men and women because there is simply no room left. The few open beds vanish within hours, leaving lines of exhausted people turned away, told to try again tomorrow, when tomorrow brings the same heartbreak. For women and children, the danger is even sharper. Domestic violence is one of the fastest roads to homelessness in Hawaii, yet specialized shelters for survivors remain rare islands in a raging sea. Imagine escaping a partner's fists only to hear, "Sorry, we have no space, no bed, no safe harbor." The nightmare keeps going long after the bruises fade. When a city turns away the unhoused, everyone pays. Homelessness is not just one person's burden. It is a wound that cuts through every block of Honolulu, draining resources, breaking morale, and staining the very vision of paradise. Police departments now serve as crisis counselors, paramedics, and eviction crews all in one. Officers are called to wellness checks, mental health breakdowns, and nightly encampment sweeps that push people from one sidewalk to another. Law enforcement was never built for this mission, and a badge plus a baton cannot fill the colossal gap left by missing housing. Hospitals feel the ripple too. Emergency rooms serve as makeshift shelters when psychiatric wards overflow. Doctors patch up infected foot wounds and overdose survivors, then discharge them back onto the same concrete that caused the injury. The cycle spins without mercy. Schools face a quieter but equally brutal shockwave. Teachers watch students drift into class exhausted, hungry, or vanish for weeks because their families bounce between motels, church parking lots, and car back seats. Some children clutch backpacks stuffed with clothes rather than textbooks, robbed of stability, routine, and a fair shot at their future. How can a child memorize multiplication when they cannot even count on a pillow tonight? Business owners along busy tourist strips report lost revenue as worried visitors avoid certain blocks. Guests who once sipped tropical drinks in bliss now stare in shock at makeshift tents blocking the view of the sea. The postcard dream cracks wide open the moment a tourist steps around a person huddled on the curb, entire life packed into a single trash bag. Voices across the island grow louder. Some demand stricter crackdowns to clean up the streets and protect tourism dollars. Others plead for compassion, for brave investment in housing, mental health, and addiction treatment, that reaches beyond quick fixes. The debate grows heated, but underneath every argument lies one unshakable moral test. Can any place call itself beautiful or civilized if it refuses to see the people in greatest need? Silence and inaction answer no. Real change begins only when every resident embraces the crisis as shared ground and shared duty. Dig beneath the surface and a brutal truth appears. Homelessness in Honolulu is not driven by one bad law or one unlucky break. It is a perfect storm of sky-high prices, harsh distance from the mainland, and generations of neglect all colliding at once. Housing is at the heart of that storm. By the year 24, the median rent for a modest one-bedroom unit in Honolulu blasted past $2,200 each month. With a minimum wage of $14 an hour, a worker must grind more than 110 hours every single week just to keep a roof overhead. And that is before buying groceries, paying the water bill, or replacing worn school shoes. Island life adds another heavy weight. Because nearly everything arrives by ship or plane, the price of milk, diapers, and even common cold medicine climbs far above mainland costs. For families already living paycheck to paycheck, one unexpected bill, a cracked radiator, a lost job, or a visit to the hospital can shove them straight onto the sidewalk. Leaving is not easy either. On the mainland, a struggling renter might drive to a cheaper county or catch a bus to a new state. But here, a plane ticket off the island is an expensive dream. The sparkling ocean that lures millions of tourists each year becomes a wall trapping those already fighting to survive. Systemic failures deepen the wound. Red tape and fierce zoning battles choke new affordable housing projects for years. The economy leans heavily on tourism, creating seasonal jobs that vanish whenever visitor numbers dip. Native Hawaiian communities, still grappling with the long shadow of forced displacement, bear the heaviest burden of poverty and homelessness in a land that once belonged solely to them. This layered disaster will keep growing louder and costlier until Honolulu chooses action over appearance. The true test of paradise is not spotless sidewalks. It is how fiercely a city protects the people sleeping on them. Mental health care in Honolulu exists mostly on paper. Clinics are slow, funding is thin, and staff numbers never meet the need. Wait lists for therapy or detox stretch for months, sometimes years, while crisis teams scramble shorthanded every single night. How can healing begin when a person has no safe place to sleep? This crisis is more than rent and groceries. It is the harvest of decades of neglect, tangled systems, in a city that chose not to look until tents filled the sidewalks. Pressure is rising, and leaders say they are taking action. Governor Josh Green and Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi both admit the scope is huge, so they boosted money for affordable housing and wider support services. At the heart of their plan sits the Housing First model. Give people a roof right away, then tackle addiction, depression, and job loss afterward. The idea has saved lives around the world, and it makes simple sense. Without a door that locks, no one can rebuild. Tiny home villages called Kohale have started to grow across Oahu. Each cluster offers safety, a sense of community, and dignity in a space smaller than a studio flat. Officials also want to flip empty buildings into step-up centers that guide people towards steady work and permanent apartments. Yet good ideas smash into hard red tape. For every new unit, dozens more people slide into homelessness. Zoning fights, endless permits, and neighbors who say, "Not here," slow projects to a crawl. Cash can sit untouched while paperwork piles up for months or years. Frontline crews feel the crunch most. Caseworkers juggle huge caseloads, shelters max out nightly, and outreach teams burn out faster than they can be trained. It feels like running on a treadmill that speeds up every week while the floor behind you disappears. So we must ask, are we fixing the problem or just keeping it barely under control? Real progress demands more than sharp press photos. It needs urgency, wide empathy, and bold choices that place people above property values, even if some owners complain. There is no single magic cure, but clear steps can turn the tide. Honolulu must flood the market with truly affordable homes, not luxury towers that toss, and a few low-income units for show. Mental health and addiction services need a huge lift, paired with mobile teams who bring help straight to the sidewalk. Job training and education must grow, giving people skills to climb out of poverty. Just as critical is public will, seeing homelessness as our shared test, not a stain to hide behind palm trees. If paradise is only for the wealthy, can it still claim the word paradise? Honolulu now faces a choice bigger than beaches or weather. It is about honor, dignity, and whether every resident can call this island home. A brighter future is possible. It will take strong leaders, active neighbors, and a refusal to accept tents as a normal part of city life. Here at Real Homeless Story, we share these voices because homelessness is not an idea. It is people. People with names, dreams, and families who deserve more than the cold pavement.